All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to the release reading for issue 6-4 of Chestnut Review. It's our spring issue and the last issue in volume 6, which I can't believe. So we're going to be soon moving into our year 7 with volume 7 in the summer. And I'm so happy to be here today with a lot of our editorial staff who are all really lovely and wonderful. One of our chapbook authors whose chapbook was just published, and a whole bunch of really great artists from the issue. The way that this works is pretty simple. I'm going to call your name, you're going to read your piece, and then after we have our readings, you are welcome to, like, we'll have a little discussion, and it's no pressure. But it would be great if you have questions for some of our editorial staff. We've got poetry and prose here today, as well as me. Our EIC could not be here today, but he's here in spirit. And if you have questions for other artists and writers, that's completely fine as well. So we just kind of have a little bit of a conversation after everybody reads their piece. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ridwan Fasasi with Reimagining Eden.
Good day, everyone. I will be reading my poem titled Reimagining Eden. And yes, I read Fasasi from Nigeria. Through the lake is not. The days are reinventing themselves. The birds are becoming weary of what they are yet to become, silent and searching for fulfillment. I believe everything needs saving. Isn't that why I'm here? Can you see my contentment, the shape of bones eating under my flesh? The angels are singing my praise from heaven. The doubts between us hangs low and waiting to be plugged. Nothing is more certain than uncertainty in itself. I believe everything needs saving. Isn't that why I'm here? I have ached to be so beautiful. It doesn't take much to love anything that knows nothing of impermanence. I know nothing of grief yet, not the banishment, not the endless walking. The crickets are burning their sullen songs into the night. There is a serpent around the truck. Eve is stretching her hand again. I trust completely whatever is in it. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful poem. All right, so next is Alexander Gast with Summer of the Cicadas.
Cool. Hey guys, while everyone's here, I just want to say thanks. The issue looks so fantastic. So it's a fun thing to be a part of. Cool. The summer of the cicadas. It was the summer of the cicadas, which meant bodies everywhere, molted to the barn doors, petals, window panes, spat and stuck like outgrown bubble gum to the sidewalk. Each cloud was an avalanche of antenna, thoraxes against thoraxes. Each song on the radio, the whirring of wings. I drank a beer downtown and plucked little legs from its phone, stuck in my teeth. A bitch, aren't they? Said a girl 3 stools down, and I said, I guess so, 'cause they were, and I don't disagree with pretty girls in sundresses. She bought me another. Outside, abdomens eclipsed the windows, shuttered the sun. When we walked to her car, they crunched beneath us like carpet pretzels, like split spilt chips. Her bed smelled of sap and summer sweat and lavender. Thank God I found you, I said, and sundress wilted to floor. Her skin unzipped and her face peeled off like a hood. She kissed like they do in movies, blossoming bugs through my throat. These days I cough black bile and crave twigs, twin wings sprouting from my shoulder blades. Each night I sit in the garden and listen to them sing, and I wake in the dirt to that strange cicada sun. Thank you, guys.
I love that strange cicada sun. Thank you for the reading. Next up is May with Shark Bite. Uh,
Hi everyone. Just wanted to say I'm so happy to be a part of this issue. Everyone's so amazing so far. So I'm going to be reading a piece of short fiction, and what I'll do is just like offer y'all a tiny bit of context. The story is about two girls. One of them is an exchange student visiting for a brief while and is now on her last day in America. And what's happened is that all they've done is fight and argue and bury a pet rabbit. Okay, so this is the end of the story. I'll read just one paragraph. Okay. I have accomplished very little on Palma's last day in America besides buying her pickles and yelling at her, though arguably there are few things more American than that. It does make me guilty enough that I'm obliged to accept when she offers to read my palm. I rest my hand on hers and notice that the red paint on her fingernails has chipped. Now each of them is shaped like a different continent. Any fortune teller worth a damn will tell you, she announces, that it's important to begin your palm reading with an analysis of the client's knuckles. She skates her finger over each mountain and valley, and I make a joke about my fate being in her hands. In the time it takes Palma to count my knuckles, I have already thought of everything, the whole world from heaven to Lakeside Bridge. Somewhere in town, there is a fire that will be remembered in the years to come. There are babies with teeth still growing. Someone far away is discovering a fossil that looks a lot like shark bite. And right now, Palma is holding my hand, but also right now, she is an old married woman who can remember the snacks we shared in class, but not my name and not my face either. My mother will always talk about renovating the kitchen, but she will never get around to it, and she will look sadly into her chicken soup long after the rest of us have left the dinner table. We are two girls alone at night with our knees touching. We are living this moment and looking back at it, both at once. We are like the dress she is wearing. We are becoming. I will become the kind of person who remembers everything and has no one to share it with. And I'll stop there. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Such a great piece. So for our longer pieces, we ask people to read an excerpt. So I definitely encourage you to go to the issue and check out some of these pieces. Yeah. Right. Next, we're going to have a piece read by Praise Osowaru. And it is Nizero Akular Nasai's piece.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to be reading The Outside by Njero Aquila. So I just wanted to check. I would like reading the entire piece.
It's up to you, Praise. Yeah.
Okay, so The Outside. Ze thought he'd never get laid again. A decade spent trying to write a faithful adaptation of the palm wine drink card had left him more drained than inspired. By his fourth attempt, his body began to mount tiny revolutions, imperceptible at first, subtle enough to let him go about his daily routine undisturbed. A year later, he noticed less blood flowing to his penis when he was excited, and that his body had shrunk to the size of a pinky. The men usually scheduled to visit on Sundays between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. became redundant. Each attempt at pleasure felt like relearning how to work. One Sunday, after a disastrous hookup where throughout the session, he felt himself lose control of his body, a feeling similar to a puppeteer watching a puppet grow sentient, its limb independent of its string, each fluid movement tugging back at the puppeteer's finger. He deleted all dating and hookup apps, more time to dedicate to my art, he thought, and he went on with his life, sitting at his desk after work to type, print, and stack pages onto a pile already occupying half his rented room, waiting for the concerta to wear off so he could catch a few hours of sleep. Mzi's love handles suggested intelligent design, perfectly symmetrical, perfectly parallel. They gently sloped downwards and pointed towards his navel like a cat's whiskers. When Ze first saw them in a headless profile picture on Grindr, they had a vertical straight line of hair running along the middle of his abdomen and a rectangular force across his chest, like the letter T. Zell wondered what it would feel like to put his finger inside one of those folds, push it deeper until it hits a rib cage, and run around to his back where it shallows and disappears. The thought resurrected a lost long dormant. Suddenly, it made sense to him why the writing had gone awry in previous weeks, why the red men of Red Town disrobed the minute he left his mind and entered the page, and why with every attempt he managed to clothe them again. Every backspace, they behaved even more petulantly, disrobing again, whipping the red dicks out, swinging them around as though telling him, just because you chose to live like a eunuch doesn't mean we should too. We're going to ejaculate all over this page and ruin whatever it is you are trying to do here. With no other choice, he paused the writing until he could make sense of it all. And then he reinstalled every dating and hookup app. In this part of the city, the wasteland, grimy and crumbling Art Deco buildings with walls stained by mold and water streaks, windows shattered and patched with plastic and adhesive tape, barbed wire fortified balconies. Here, everyone is stacked on top of everyone and barely tolerating one another. It's a lover's desert. If you're not keen on getting fucked in a secluded passageway while suffocating from the foul stench of piss and decaying refuse, seeping through accumulated trash bags, or in the remains of a building that went up in flames decade ago, then searching for dick is like running an ultramarathon that has no prize money. Three-fifths of the men you chat are dead ends. They can't host. The other fifth flake when it's time to meet. And the fifth, Nzi, eventually hooks up with, re-ingest their self-loading and turn into Martin Semper the minute they come. He couldn't figure out which category Zé fell into. On the other hand, in the several weeks since they started dating, since they started chatting, even though he lived by himself, only 15-minute walk away from where Mzi lived with his two brothers and cousins, Zé was always cagey when it came time to meet. On the other hand, at random moments throughout the day, Zé requested pictures of Mzi's midriff, and at night, when they were video chatting, he would ask Mzi to redirect the camera to his stomach and move around a bit so he could watch his tummy jiggle. One morning, Zé awoke to a text, an ultimatum. I can't keep chatting with you if we're never going to meet. I'll be around the mall tomorrow at around 10. To be nice to see your face. It would be nice to see you face to face. But a few hours before 10, a message changed hands from Mzi's brother's girlfriend's brother to Mzi's brother's girlfriend, then Mzi's brother, then Mzi. Christmas, which hardly ever comes for us, has arrived ahead of schedule. Head on over to your favorite store and have a respite from a life of perpetual lack. Mzi ran to the mall with his brothers and cousin instead. The streets were littered with rocks, bricks, and debris, black patched with burnt tires, white streaked from the pavements where concrete curbings and curb ramps were uprooted and left lying across the breadth of the road. Intersections were blocked with tires aflame. In winter, power often goes out and never comes back for weeks on end, and people riot. Zell wondered whether this was one of those times. He had no way of being sure, having shut himself in his room for days, trying to surf through 10 years worth of pages, figuring out which corner to hide all those failed attempts in, all those many revisions he had done throughout the year. He wanted only the current iteration of his script to remain so his room could look presentable when he finally invites a lover over. The only time the outside world existed was when he paused his tiding to text Nzi, and even then, the only topic discussed was their bodies, not an imprisoned ex-president. Now, standing at the mall entrance, Zia felt the full weight of what he had ignored. Before him, a crowd restless and impatient, like water knocking on a dam wall after a deluge. A handful of cops, resistant and helpless, and a news broadcast crew, motionless like a stalking predator. As he was texting him Z and asking what was happening, the wall broke and the river galloped forth, unruly and vengeful, flinging back rocks for each rubber bullet. He watched the cameraman try to keep pace with his anchor as she ran towards the cops, caught in a loop of advance and retreat. When Z replied and said it was by the mattress store, Z dove into the river and let it carry him through. It swallowed him, rendering him indistinguishable from its raging current. Inside the mall, the river branched in multiple directions, blasting through shatterproof glass, upending roller doors, and toppling mannequins. When he couldn't find Mzi at the mattress store, the river whisked him to the pharmacy, coming past metal shelves set askew and floors slick with split cosmetics. He ran to the dispensary at the back of the store. There, the floor was littered with capsules and bottled pills, and nothing remained but a few scattered pill bottles. Among them were 4 bottles of 54 milligram Concerta that he desperately needed. He grabbed it just as the cop stormed into the mall and the current reverse, skipping over sprawled bodies and carrying off its prize loot, clothes, food, furniture, appliances, and electronics. Having evaded the now sizable police contingent and out of breath, he tried to ring Mzi a few times, but his call went unanswered. On his way home, he tried again and it went straight to voicemail. In the following days, as the rest of the country burned and his text undelivered, they assumed Mzi had gone ghost. Their regular conversations had widened the tunnels inside his heart and molded them into Mzi's silhouettes. But now the abrupt silence had left caverns no one else could fit through. How long before they shrunk back to their original shape and size? Resigned to the fact that his frustrations wouldn't be allayed, Zed took out his phone, checked off to a photo of Mzi's midriff, then sat in front of his laptop and started typing away. The red man of Red Town remained fully clothed on the page. That's it.
Thank you so much, Praise. I know that was a longer flash to read, so I really appreciate it. It was great. It's a great story. All right, next up we have our chapbook author, Katie Hempel, with The Wedding Album.
Great. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you. Sorry it took me a bit to find the link. Okay, yeah, The Wedding Album is the first poem in the chapbook, and I'll just go ahead and read it. The Wedding Album. We found our father's first wife in the closet upstairs. Behind the child-sized door, my sister and I cracked open. Under the naked pole light in a maroon leather album, that 1970s pigment gave a warm glow to the photos. Dad in a dark tux, white carnation in the lapel. The lady next to him, brunette like Mom, but angular, wore glasses. At 6 and 4, we didn't understand. I took the album to Mom, fresh out of the shower, penciling her face in. The sight of it creased her eyes. "Pat!" she hollered. Dad arrived, took it back, ushered us to the table, said, "You know how your kitten died? Hit by a car in front of our house." He said his first wife died in a similar accident. My sister and I must have hugged him, the memory of our cat stinging, but I only remember tugging my sister's hand to play outside. When night fell, Dad sat alone by the hearth, stoking the flames. The wedding album man, a stranger. He saw me there and looked away, back to the blazing fire he created. I didn't know who I was anymore.
Okay, thank you so much, Katie. I love the ending of your poem. The beginning too. Like, I love that it starts the chapbook. I was just thinking about it the other day. Like, found our father's first wife upstairs, and it's like so ominous. Yeah. So yeah, Katie will have a launch party next week for her chapbook. She's doing a poetry workshop or a generative writing workshop. So everybody's welcome to attend. The link to sign up is like on our socials and it's also in the newsletter. So if you want to, you can sign up. It's completely free. And the other chapbook author that was launched with this issue, My Achieve, is doing a donut themed launch party on Saturday night next week. So that's also going to be a really good time. Yeah. All right. So we have some people who signed up to present and they didn't come because, I'm sure circumstances. So I'm not like blaming anybody. So I just wanted to highlight, and I'm so sorry that like I didn't, but we have this beautiful artwork in the issue by MTS Pillay in the thick. Here, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So MTS is here today, but not able to present. And then Bad Fuda is also here. So this is Windcatcher. We have some amazing art in this issue. And as always, there's artist statements. You can see those in our piece. So I also want to just briefly, like Andy Miles' homework. This is a fantastic piece. It's got like a different format. And then Renudi Gunavardena. This is her piece Wedding Night. And then Angelica Julieva Davila is, she's got this piece, Chicago Winter 1994. So we have a lot of other really great work in the issue. So I really encourage you to go and read it. I did an interview with Katie and Maya at AWP that was somewhat chaotic, but also fun. And of course, you can get the PDF with the full issue so you can see we have like an editor's note in here, and we do this thing now called Tales from the Queue, which is essentially how we found the pieces. So we ask a reader to essentially do a reaction to the piece. um, let me so those are after our chapbook material. That's always the first thing that goes into the right. So that's why Shark Bite is the first piece in the magazine issue, and then we've got descriptions and just reader engagement with the two pieces that were chosen. In this case, January couldn't be here today, but her piece interview is also a really interesting piece to read and engage with. So yeah, it's a great issue. So without further ado, we're going to move into our discussion. If you have a question for somebody on staff or one of the other readers or presenters, please go ahead and feel free to, don't be shy, like just unmute yourself and ask away. All right. Yeah. I know this is like a giant game of not it. Well, I have a question for Annie and also Praise, because as some of you may know, our old prose editor, Brooke Randall, had to step away. So her last day was the end of February. It was extremely emotional. So this is the first issue that was on YouTube to put together. And of course, I know that there's a lot of little steps and things that are like, oh my God, now we need to do this, this, and that. But how was the experience of working with the authors and, getting the issue out there?
So I think I got your question. You asked how was the experience of working with the authors and getting the issues out there. I think it was really interesting, and it also usually, like you said, Brooke stepped down. So working with Annie, there had to be some kind of like level of trust and in both of us editorial capability, and not having to come meet you for to take a look at something often. So I had to like trust each other, and also the work that we got were really, really good work. We're excited to edit the stories like The Outside, Cut Off, Shark Bites, I think, which was formerly even in the afternoon. So Annie was pretty excited about the piece. So I think it helped that we were excited about the pieces that we wanted to edit and wanted to publish. So we had really good feelings about them. And also we had, okay, I edited The Outside and Cut Off, and Annie edited Shark Bite and Homework, right?
Homework, lessons,
While
and forgetting.
Maria, yes, while Maria edited Chicago Winter 1989 or something. So yeah, so it was really good, and I enjoyed editing and publishing these pieces. So yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to add some other thing.
Yeah, definitely Praise. It was really nice to be like stepping up together. So Praise and I were the associate editors. And we kind of, when Brooke left, we kind of both stepped up. And I will say it's been a really amazing, really fun experience. It's also been a big learning curve and like a lot of a lot of like both of us kind of talking. We Praise and I like talk every day. Like we are constantly messaging each other. And it's been so wonderful to have someone to talk to who, like Praise said, I can really trust. To sort of go through this experience of like, oh my God, like what I'm so nervous about doing this for the first time. What together applying to grad schools at the same time also. um so that's been wild. And yeah, it's been a very cool to kind of get to know everybody at the magazine on a different level, working with all the readers, getting to know all their voices, getting to know Praise in a different way, getting to know Maria in a different way. I think we were really lucky that our first issue just had some very stellar pieces. Like pieces with authors who were really kind and receptive and like had very good instincts, people who were very easy to work with the edits, and stories that were just incredible, and that were really a joy to read over and over again. Like being an editor on a piece, like you really get to know like you spend a lot of time with it. And these were pieces that were wonderful to spend time with. So I feel really lucky that these were the pieces we had our first time really stepping up as prose editors. Yeah, thank you for a really incredible issue, all of you. It's been so wonderful to read your work.
Yeah, can you say a bit more about the Sharkbite ending process? Because I think Sharkbite was one of the longer pieces that was in the issue this time around for prose, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Sharkbite was really interesting. I don't know how much like we want to give a window into the process, but like as May knows, we accepted it early. It was the first prose piece we accepted. And we had it was an interesting issue because I feel like a lot of the pieces that we really liked came later in the process, but Sharkbite was like a piece where we all read it and we were immediately like, yes, this has to be in the issue. Um, so that I think um it was a really, I'm trying to think back to the process. I mean, May was great. All of your edits were really good. The title change was great. It was a piece where like there was a lot that was working really well already. And the things, there was not like a lot of like rewriting that needed to happen. It was more just like rearranging some of the reveal of information, making certain things clearer in certain scenes. But on the line level, it was like, I feel like there was not a lot of line editing that was happening. It was more big picture, because on the sentence level, it was working very, very well. Um, so yeah, we only had to go back and forth a couple times, I think, on the piece, and that was also very nice to have like a piece that was very easy to edit. Yeah, I don't know. May, do you want to say anything about it at all?
Yeah, thank you, Annie, for being like such an amazing editor. I had written this piece. I'm in an MFA right now, so it's been workshop before, and you guys know that feeling of like getting something workshop and being like, yeah, I'm totally gonna take that into consideration. Totally. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, maybe. But with Annie's edits, I was like, these are like really fantastic. I was so happy to read all of them. They feel like they just really open the piece up in a way that I hadn't even thought of before. Like even changing the title like made it so much more like ooh snappy. So like I just really loved getting the opportunity to communicate with Annie back and forth. Reading through the edits was like an actually like really great like eye-opening experience. So this was really fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a great piece. I will say that I think Angelica and I were like a great pair because we were both like super like, oh right, we need to pay attention to this. And then we did 3 rounds of pretty intense edits for Chicago Winter. And I really wanted to concentrate on getting into what I felt like was the meat of the narrative. So I don't know if Annie and Praise have peeped it, if you have objections, if you're like, I wouldn't have done that. But like, I really wanted her to lean into the narrator's, like the Spanish speaking side, the side that was like kind of whimsical and bad, sort of like my cat. I don't know what he's doing right now. Um, so I really wanted more of that. So I said, why don't you step on the gas pedal a little bit, like take out some of the stuff that I feel like is not, quite working yet, or it's a little general. Like I want more of, like she had in summary her mom and her aunt and her grandma talking in the kitchen. And I was like, well, could you give us like some stuff in their voices? So we ended up putting like a lot of Spanish into the piece, but I think it really works because the whole piece is about the sort of narrator's tension, being embedded in this environment where now she's got to be bilingual, and her family is worried that she's going to completely go on and kind of leave them behind in a way and get her own English, her own American identity, and not be able to access like her Mexican Spanish heritage. So they're trying to force her to speak in Spanish, and she's just like into this sort of like the poetic sonic texture of the two languages together. Like there's a part where she goes back and forth between wow, 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 wow. And if you listen to the audio, I think it was just so amazing to see these things come alive on the page in a way that made the ending, like the ending line, which was not changed from the submission draft, to get there and make it feel really, powerful with the code switching. So I'm really proud of the work that was done. But yeah, like it, I love this conversations going in the chat, by the way. But yeah, that was something that's like, yeah. So I know that Michael seemed to be having some internet issues, but Luke, did you edit Cicadas, or was that somebody else on the poetry team?
You said the cicada one? I'm
Yeah,
pretty
or
sure cicada.
Reimagining Eden, because they're the both of them are here. Yeah.
To the best of my memory, both of those were Michael. Yep.
Whose pieces did you work with this issue?
I edited After Crash in the Garden and Interview. So it was really great working on Interview. I really like counterpunctual poems, but I've never seen one formatted with that dual tone formatted. And I really liked how the lines wrapped. In January was great to work with. And we were both really happy with how it came out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, Alexander, could you say a bit about what it was like to work with Michael on your poem? Yeah.
Sure. Michael's feedback was super generous and very helpful. And there were only a few things I didn't take. And when I didn't take them, I apologize for being stubborn, were the exact words I used. And he pointed me towards the y'all's motto. So I didn't feel too bad about it at all. Um, but no, it was super generative. Cicada Sun is the like ending line on that poem. I wake in the dirt to that strange cicada sun. And I had summer sun for months. So that to me was like the most pivotal edit I got from y'all. That has really helped the poem grow. So I don't know. I really respect the work you guys do. My friend Amelia, I'm at UNC, I'm an undergrad right now, but my friend Amelia Loeffler had a poem maybe 3 issues ago, 4 issues ago. Maybe.
Yeah, I edited that poem. Yeah.
Okay. She's fantastic. She's amazing. So I don't know. I've been keeping up with you guys ever since, so I'm super excited to have made it. And thank you, Michael. I just saw you pop back on, but I appreciate the edits.
Yeah, Michael is great. He just got promoted to being poetry co-editor along with Luke, so he's been also adjusting to his new role. But yeah, it's really we have such a fantastic staff. I wrote everybody like this big love note after I came back from AWP, and then last week Saturday I was in Washington D.C. just for the day, and people are coming to me and being like, Chestnut is so awesome. Like I had no idea that you pay authors and you respond in 30 days. Like that doesn't seem real. And it just makes me happy because it's like we're like a literal unicorn. I know that's like a douchey startup term, but like I feel like we're doing something that I've now seen other magazines start to emulate, and that's a good thing, right? I think it's good to have accountability, to have submission windows that are clear, so that people aren't guessing, and also to support and pay not only writers and artists but also the staff. So of course, there's nothing like we there's no way that we can ever compensate people for the amount of work that they do, like the amount of emotional labor that goes into making Chestnut. I mean, Annie and Praise just were like, yeah, we talk every day. I mean, it just, yeah, because I think we all have Chestnut on the brain, and we have this weird Chestnut fever. I know for Brooke, it was really hard for her to step down because it was like, now what do I think about every day? Right? Like you just, um, Yeah, it's just like such a vacuum. Yeah, and I think that most people do assume, even writers and artists, right? They do assume that a lot of literary magazines are like, hey, we're here working full time. That's why, we're doing all of these things. So, I think there needs to be more understanding and more grace that, yeah, we're all volunteers. We're getting honoraria. It's not like even an hourly wage, yo. I wish it was. But yeah, because if our editorial staff went away, we would be in trouble. So I really appreciate that. And I love seeing the product of that, which is not just from us as editors, but everybody, the first readers, the people doing the social media stuff. Samira, who's now like taken over our Patreon and our newsletter, as well as the like scheduling things for social media, keeping the calendar. Um, yeah, I wish so too, Annie's mom. But yeah, without all of this work, we wouldn't have a magazine. Like without the readers every issue that write the tales from the queue, which is just completely extra, and is amazing, right? It's amazing engagement with the pieces. So I really appreciate each and every one of the people on the staff for however long they've been there. It doesn't matter. Somebody can come in for 5 minutes. Somebody like Annie can have been here from like forever. I mean, I think we've all been here since like 2020. But right, everybody's contributions are extremely important to what we do. Um, yeah. So I actually read Zay Outside because I don't know what was happening. Like, I think we had a reader who was late, and I was the first reader for your piece, Njiaru. So if you, it's totally fine if you can't talk, but I'm wondering if you could pop in the chat a little bit about your piece, because I was so struck by the way that it has this keen personal narrative that's wrapped around this political narrative in a way that feels really full and true to life without it being like just I want to make a piece about this thing or I want to make a piece about that thing. Because even in the context of like queer desire stories, I see a lot of stuff that's like really obvious and it's just like on the tin what you would expect from that. And so because it's so familiar, like it's not striking, but the way that the language is in your piece and the way it's juxtaposed so neatly between these sort of macrocosmic political developments and these microcosmic, okay, because of these political developments, then I couldn't meet with my lover that I was finally going to meet with. So I was just really struck by that. So yeah, I was wondering if you could say a bit about that.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. You were asking about the political situation that I was writing about. I couldn't uh, hear the question completely.
Yeah, it's about the juxtaposition of the political and the personal and how that came out so masterfully in your piece, even in its first version.
I think I didn't want it to be very political. I wanted the rioting and the looting to be backgrounded. I wanted to concentrate more on Z and Zay, especially Zay. Um, the inspiration behind Zay was a lot of fiction that I was reading that featured neurodivergent characters. There's a certain cliche way that they write neurodivergent characters. They sort of like explain why this character does this, why this character does it. So I wanted to write a character who has quirks, but those quirks seem like normal, everyday, day-to-day things, basically.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think the character is so quirky and distinct. And like everything that he does in the piece just feels really consistent with himself in such a short piece. That was something that was really striking because even the things that are happening on the page, like the red men and the red dicks, like that's all like every single thing in the piece feels just really folded in a way that is organic to the piece, organic to the character. So I really like thank you for submitting it, and I'm so glad that it ended up in Chestnut. And Praise, I love the things that the two of you came up with in the editing process. So it's always great to see like what is the final result versus like how it came in. Yeah. Right. Does anyone else have questions or comments for other people? I feel like I've been talking a lot.
I wish the author of Cutoff came. It'll have been nice to talk about it. Cutoff. Yeah, on the card, I think. I wish the author was here. It'd be nice to talk about what was the motive behind such a very authoritarian perspective.
I feel like we had a lot of semi gruesome-ish pieces. I don't know. All right. Well, I'm not going to keep you if we don't have anything else, but it's been so great to celebrate with you all. You're now part of our Chestnut community, so please don't hesitate to reach out if there's good news that we can share on our socials about you. We're open for chapbooks from now until the 30th. And what I normally do is when an author submits a chapbook and they've been published in Chestnut, like we usually send like a personal response at least. So, Katie, for instance, was published in, I think, volume four before she submitted Big Man. And she did submit another chapbook that is also a project I'm really obsessed with before that we did end up rejecting. So, like, I usually look out for people's names. Of course, you're welcome to submit for the magazine again. So you would be eligible to be in 8-4, which I don't want to think about because it sounds so long from now, but I know we'll just sneak up and be here before you know it. So yeah, absolutely. Like we sometimes put out calls for other opportunities to the community. We're probably going to be opening for readers very soon. So yeah, there's plenty of chances to be involved in big or small ways. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for submitting your work, for working with your editors through this process, and for coming today. All right.